Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Andrew Yang, Top Gun Maverick, the new movie with Tom Cruise in it, all about U.S. fighter jets, and modern American warfare and what it's going to look like between 2024 and the reason why Andrew Yang remains the only viable, realistic, wise option for the President of the United States of America based on what we've seen in Top Gun Maverick. All right. So basically, it is very exciting. Top Gun Maverick, if you haven't seen the trailer, check it out. It is amazing. I'm really psyched about it. I'm a huge fan of the Top Gun film. Goose Forever. And basically, you know, it really looks very good. And from a political perspective, Top Gun Maverick is politically important. Just so everybody's aware, I think the first one came out in 1984. Actually, it's 30. They just said it. It's 36 years old. Okay, so if it's 36 years old, that's 2019, 09, 99, 89. Yeah. I hit it right on the head. So came out right around 1984, right? And it was an incredibly important film. It was like really, really important, especially from the perspective of glamorizing U.S. military service. And that is a very big deal. We have not had to have a draft in a very long time. And Top Gun was a big reason for that. It basically, Top Gun massively glamorized service in the United States of America military. And it allowed recruiters to, recruiting is like a layup. Like, that's a good gig. Being a U.S. soldier, that is a crazy good gig today, right? And movies like Top Gun are really important for making service in the U.S. military very, very attractive, right? And that's a big deal because the reality is it's expensive to recruit, and if Hollywood is doing this, for their own reasons, and they're making money on it, and it's helping our U.S. Military services get more recruits, and then they can winnow that down to the best of the best. All that's good. So it's really fantastic. And Top Gun Maverick is going to do that again. I think, basically, it's not going to be nearly to the same effect because Tom Cruise is older, right? But actually, even if there's just one young star in the movie that catches on, and millennials and Gen Xers and Gen Zs are interested in it, not based on Tom Cruise. No Gen Zs or millennials are going to care about Tom Cruise, right? But if there's even one compelling young actor in it, it could be really continue to be a powerful recruiting source. That is a very real political concern, and it's right there for Top Gun Maverick, right? So kudos to Hollywood, kudos to Tom Cruise. A big thank you to both of those groups for continuing to make it easy for military service recruiters to recruit lots of candidates, winnow out get the cream of the crop, and then continue to make our military branches filled with the very finest American people to be American soldiers. Okay, all right. Now this is really important. One of the themes in Top Gun Maverick is our fighter pilots, our U.S. American fighter pilots, obsolete? Well, I can tell you the answer right now. The answer is absolutely not. In fact, I think U.S. military pilots are going to be more important to U.S. war efforts in between 2020 and 2024 than any other U.S. American soldier. And here is why, okay? Now, this is a J. Scott Garibay exclusive. I guarantee you're not going to hear this coverage anywhere else, because one of the reasons why is I don't think anybody really thinks about politics the way I do. And one of the other things that really, 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 really frustrates me is I feel that American political commentators, American political analysts are not paying attention to technology. Technology is the main driver for humanity today. And if you're not thinking about politics from the perspective of technology, you really don't get politics. You don't understand how modern politics works. So here's why U.S. fighter jet pilots are the most important U.S. soldiers, bar none, right? And especially between 2020 2020 and 2024. All right, so basically, is America going to go to war with it between 2020 and 2024? I would say absolutely yes. There is a high probability of this, right? How will that happen? So one, let me define American war over the last 20 or 30 years. So one, we've had two recent wars. We had the Iraq War, and we had the Gulf War in the 90s. We had the Iraq War in the aughts, right? And basically, those are our two most recent wars, okay? And everything else has been a skirmish, right? And in those two wars, America absolutely decimated. We rocked those wars, right? Absolutely won them, bar none. You know, it was a layup, right, on both of those, right? Now the reality is, we have had skirmishes left and right. We've had lots of little skirmishes, blah blah blah, right? But the reality is war, right? And right now, today, in my opinion, there's only one nation on the planet that can go to war with America, and that is China, right? Now, why would America go to war with China? Why should America go to war with China? What would trigger a war with China? I'll tell it to you right now, all right? If the Chinese people cry out for freedom, right, at a rate of 1 million Chinese, if there are 1 million Chinese voices that raise up and say, we need to be freed from our oppressive communist socialist government, right? America will not be able to refuse that cry, right? Not a single American can forget that Lafayette helped free this nation, that France came in and made America, a free democratic America, a reality. America has to be ready to make a free democratic China a reality. When there are 1 million voices crying, and that's just 1 in 1,000, it's less than 1 in 1,000. When there are 1 million Chinese voices crying out for freedom, crying out for democracy, America will absolutely not be able to not go to their aid. We'll have to go to war, okay? We will have to go to war, right? Now, when that happens, and I think that's going to happen on Andrew Yang's watch. Andrew Yang will drop into the presidency on 2020, on January 20th, 2021, right? And by the time he's out, I really think there's a distinct possibility we will be at war with China, helping the Chinese people to overthrow the Chinese government, right? Now, when that happens, why will it be important that we have American fighter jet pilots? I'll tell you right now, the F15D Eagle, the F15D Eagle air superiority fighter, right? And how is it going to be important? Well, it's going to drop the next nuclear bomb, right? But that's not going to be a physical nuclear bomb. It will be a social nuclear bomb, okay? The future of American modern warfare is an American president on the battlefield, live streaming through YouTube. That is the next nuclear bomb that will be dropped on the planet Earth. It will be a social nuclear bomb, not a physical nuclear bomb, right? Now, why is this important? Okay, so let me explain. So when we go to war with China, right, because 1 million Chinese have cried out and say we need freedom, we need democracy, and no American can forget that Lafayette made this country, right, because he was in France, he saw a people crying out for freedom and democracy, and he said, I will not ignore them. And now America needs to be the American Lafayette to the Chinese freedom fighters, right? And it's already starting. We already see the spark that will light the blaze in Hong Kong, right? So basically, with all that going forward, here's how this manifests, right? So basically, we have a military. We have 4 military branches. We're so far ahead, over any country, including China. One of the things is we're going to be able to wreck China because they don't have aircraft carriers. They're not going to be able to move any of their people to our land. So we'll just strike them on their land, and they'll have no ability to reprise back. Right? That's big. That's a really big deal, right? So, but what will really end that war and end it quickly, right, is a social nuclear bomb, and that is an American president on the battlefield, right? So if you have Chinese freedom fighters fighting with American soldiers with boots on the ground in China, right? And then you have the American president fly over in an F15D Eagle air support superiority fighter and just look down and say, you can see American troops on the ground. Here you can see them, surging forward into this Chinese city, and the Chinese freedom fighters are doing great, right? And we are pledging to be with them every step of the way, and I, the American president, am here right on the battleground where I need to be in order to lead these troops as commander-in-chief. Done, over, right? Like, that's it. Like, it's just going to be just like Japan, but it's going to be a million times better than Japan, because essentially by using a social nuclear bomb rather than a literal physical nuclear bomb, right, you are going to be able to make this war be over a lot faster. When the world sees a U.S. American president on the battlefield, right, in a F-15D Eagle air superiority fighter, easily just live tweeting, live YouTubing the situation. And Yenrujag does like to tweet, so he'll be tweeting as well, right? Live tweeting and live YouTubing, the battle below. That's it. That's all she wrote, right? It shows the superiority of our technology. It shows the superiority of our personal courage of our president. It shows the absolute dominance of our military. It shows American spirit, American balled out, pure aggression, right? But married with wisdom, right? Married with wisdom and civility. And this would be done, right, specifically using a social nuclear bomb rather than a physical nuclear bomb is really important, because we need to progress how we fight wars. And the idea that YouTube and Twitter and American president's courage is not the most powerful tools we have today is ridiculous. They are, right? And so you're going to need those American fighter jets to taxi in U.S. American presidents. All right, I hear you. You're like, Scott, that's crazy. You can't put a U.S. president in danger like that. You absolutely can. There is history for it. It's been happening for decades, right? John Dickerson, he is my absolute intellectual champion when it comes to political commentary. He did a huge piece on this, on American presidents going to the scene of disaster sightings. That is incredibly dangerous, right? We on the regular are bringing our U.S. presidents physically to the sites of disasters. We've been doing it for decades. It is a terrible idea from a security perspective. There's trash strewn everywhere, piles of junk that an assassin could hide behind. There's so many reasons why this is a terrible idea, and yet we do it all the time. And the reason why is the courage of the U.S. president has to be seen by the people, and the power of the modern camera, right, is ubiquitous. And presidents have to be seen on the scene, and presidents already being seen on the site of disaster scenes all the time. Like, this happens like every few months, right? Shows that one, the president can be secured in dangerous situations. If you put the president through, like, if you flew him over a war site, people would think it's dangerous. It would absolutely not be dangerous. And the reason why is you put the president into an F-15D Eagle air superiority fighter, and you surround them with 10 F-35As, right? F-35As have a switch. They're just like, kill everything on the ground. Like, they can identify weapons platforms, RPGs. They can identify identify every single weapon on the ground and in the air, and immediately, like, destroy them without even the pilot pulling the trigger, right? They have automated systems, right? So you just surround the F-15D, right, that the president's in, with 10 F-35As. They wipe the board literally as they're traveling, right? It'd be super, super safe, right? It'd be safer than what we're already doing, right, with putting presidents on disaster zones, into disaster zone scenes, which we do. It's like common as dirt. We do it all the time, right? So this is the future of a modern American warfare, and I want to talk about the Fast Five. Who can do this? Right? Well, guess what? Andrew Yang, he is absolutely the number one candidate for president in 2024, because we already know that the model for American warfare that I just laid out, you're going to need a president who's capable of this and willing to do it. All right, so let's talk about that. Which of the Fast Five are capable of doing this, and which ones are willing to do this, right? And so basically, there's only one. Andrew Yang is the only one. So let's walk them through, right? It's really, really simple. Biden and Sanders, they're out. You know why? Because they're 76 and 77 years old. You can't put them into a fighter jet. You know how old Andrew Yang is? He's 44, right? He'll be fine in an F-15 fighter jet. You do 2, 3, 4 G's with a 76 or 77-year-old person in the plane. That ain't gonna work. That is not gonna work, right? That you can't do that, right? You cannot put a 76 or 77-year-old person into a modern American fighter jet. Cannot do it, right? All right, so that leaves, Sanders and Biden are out. They can't do the job. They physically cannot do the job, right? And then Elizabeth Warren. Well, one, she's significantly younger than Biden or Sanders, and she's scrappy, right? So can you put Elizabeth Warren into an F-15D Eagle air superiority fighter over China? No, you can't. Here's why. She's capable of it, but she's not willing to do it, right? How do I know that Elizabeth Warren would never be willing to go over enemy territory in an F-15D Eagle air superiority fighter? Because she wasn't even willing to go onto Fox News, right? She does not go into enemy territory. She's already shown this to the American people. Fox News, why, there might be somebody there who disagrees with me. I might have to do some actual intellectual sparring. I might have to talk to people who disagree with me politically. No, cannot do that. I will not be going into enemy territory. Elizabeth Warren cannot be put on to the Chinese battlefield because she can't even be put onto Fox News, right? Like, she wouldn't even go into Fox Town Hall, right? She thought that was too much of an enemy territory. I thought, by the way, it is my opinion that Elizabeth Warren's statement that she would never go onto Fox Town Hall was the biggest mistake of her campaign so far, by far, because it showed she has a temperament that really does not want to be. She wants people to engage with her on her terms and her terms alone. And if you won't do that, she's not going to come to your area, right? And that, to me, that is not a good temperament for a president. All right. Let's talk about Kamala Harris. Is Kamala Harris capable of going into an F-15D Eagle air superiority fighter? Yes, she is capable of it from a physical perspective, but she's not capable of it from a temperament perspective. We'll get back to that temperament part. Is she willing? Oh, are you kidding? Like, Kamala Harris becomes president. If Kamala Harris becomes president on January 20th, 2021, she will be in an F-15D Eagle air superior fighter going to get deep dish pizza in Chicago. Yes, she would be more than willing to get into a fighter jet, right? And the reason why is Kamala Harris, more than any other candidate, any other U.S. primary Democrat candidate, she has a fighting spirit, right? But that is actually what would keep her from being able to go, because her fighting spirit is too tenacious and really not controlled, right? Now, that's an interesting statement. I'm going to back that up, okay? So one, so Kamala Harris is more attack mode than any 2020 Democrat U.S. primary candidate. Let me back that up. She is a super aggressive DA, district attorney, right? She has spent her life filling private prisons with prisoners, right? And she did that through pure attack mode prosecution, right? As soon as she went into the first debate, she immediately opened up Donald Trump-style attack mode right against Biden and personally attacked him, right? And then, in addition, that is definitely my opinion. And then recently, Trump said an incredibly controversial tweet. He said that specific women in Congress should go back where they came from. Horrible. He should never have said that. It's a terrible statement. Kamala Harris echoed it. She's like, he should go back where he came from, right? I do not think for 1 second that she meant to say that. I really don't. I think she just is so aggressive and it's not fully controlled, right? So the reality is, I don't think you could put Kamala Harris over an enemy territory because she's so aggressive that it's very clear that her impulse for attack is so high that it could be dangerous to the people on the ground, right? Like that she might not have the wisdom to be in this incredibly dangerous, incredibly tense situation and control her own temper. And the reason why is I really think when she said he should go back where he came from, using the very words that she had just condemned him with, I think that is she's still straining to control her anger, straining to allow her wisdom to usurp her aggression, right? Very, very interesting candidate. Kamala Harris is a really fascinating candidate. I'm really curious how that's going to... So, there you go. Sanders and Biden are not even capable of being put into an F-15D Eagle. Warren would choose not to. Kamala would be, like, you'd have to keep her out of the seat, right? Like, she would be... I think she'd be using that thing for joyrides. Are you kidding me? She would love being an F-15D Eagle. But her aggression's so high, I think she, we just saw this very week that she's struggling to control that aggression, right? I really don't think for 1 second she meant to literally repeat the words that Donald Trump, that the entire Congress had just, voted to condemn Donald Trump over. Really incredible. But Andrew Yang is perfect. He's wise, he's calm, he's physically capable, and I think he'd be willing to do this. He'd be willing to use this absolutely necessary American modern technology to do the job right? And I really think there's a high probability we will be at war with China between 2020 and 2024, specifically to free the Chinese from their oppressive socialist communist government, right? When they have cried out for it. If they don't cry out for it, we shouldn't help them, right? But I think if that should be the criteria. If 1 million Chinese voices are raised, America has to be the Lafayette in that situation. We have to. We owe it to history. We owe it to the French. We owe it to them, to American people ourselves, and we certainly owe it to the Chinese. And again, this whole thing, Top Gun Maverick proves Andrew Yang, there's nobody better to be chosen for president of the United States of America. That is my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.